Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back once again to The Drop, the official podcast of thedropnews.com, or TDN, if you will. I am your host, Josh Sharp, and joining me today is Andrew Lilly. Dude, how is it going? I didn't say how you're doing, so we're already off to a good start.
I'm glad to be back. I'm doing well.
Woo! Amen. And joining us once again, and an official member of the Drop News podcast, we have David Hutchison in the building. Dude, thank you for agreeing to stay with us.
No worries. Hey guys, if you enjoy my accent, you'll be hearing it every single Saturday. If you enjoy that, then that's good for you guys.
And what he means by Saturday, he means if I can actually edit it up in time. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have.
And if we don't mess up the recording.
Yep. Yeah. We have our very own James McAvoy in the building, so that's always a plus. And last but not least, we have Alex Batts. Dude, how are you?
Pretty good. Got some pretty interesting / kind of upsetting things to talk about this week, but
yeah. We were gonna start off on a positive note. You know, we had some news come out about the Batman that was pretty cool. We had some stuff regarding Domino and Deadpool 2 and some other cool things. But literally, like, big news just broke as we were pressing record on this podcast. And before I tell you what that news is, let me go ahead and do a little backtracking for those of you who don't know. About 2 or so weeks ago, Ben Affleck had stepped down as the director of the Batman. It was like this big hoopla. Everybody was freaking out, saying, "Oh my God, WB just ruined another movie," and by lying to everyone, saying, "Oh, this is a filmmaker-driven universe," and then kind of throwing their own kind of 2 cents in there and kind of just like strong-arming the director to do what they want, which caused why so many directors left. But apparently, after all that, Matt Reeves, the director of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, was going to step in and direct it. And things were looking up. Things were looking good, man. We were happy as hell. But apparently, we just found out that negotiations with Matt Reeves has broken down with WB, and it is looking like he will not be directing the Batman. So essentially, we are back to square one once again. The internet is in flames. I'm seeing a lot of DC people over here just like deactivating their accounts and just crying on the timeline. It's very depressing. But you know what, Alex, let's go ahead and start with you. I know you're a huge DC fan, as am I. So what are your thoughts on not just Matt Reeves reportedly not directing the Batman, but just the whole thing in general, with Ben Affleck reportedly leaving and things like that?
I wasn't one of the people who was freaking out too much about Ben stepping down. Like, as the director, I kind of have the opinion that, if he couldn't do everything, it's good that he's able to admit that and kind of, want to bring on someone else to tackle part of the weight of the gigantic project that is the Batman. But, I was really actually kind of optimistic, and I really liked Matt Reeves possibly coming on to direct the movie. Really enjoyed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and what he's done with that. And then I actually saw earlier today there was a rumor that, which granted all these rumors about DC, contradict themselves every day, but I saw a rumor that he was supposed to be, having multiple picture deal with Batman and having a lot of say over who would be cast in it and so on. And, that was kind of exciting to me, and I was looking forward to that prospect, but now hearing that negotiations have completely broken down, I mean, it sucks, but, man, I don't really know what to think, because I always try to, I talk about how I don't like when people, act like they know everything that's going on behind the scenes, but I mean, I want them to announce something and release something saying, hey, we are still working on everything and we have everything under control, kind of. The reason that we're letting so many people go, I hope the reason they're letting so many people go is because we want and are willing to take the time to do everything right with these projects. And I, as a DC fan and how much I love these characters, I'm willing to wait for that if that is the case. I just really do hope that they have an end goal in mind. But yeah,
it's just annoying, I'm just I don't know. It's just what is going on behind the scenes that is just making these directors drop like flies? And I'm not just talking about the Batman. I'm talking the Flash, most recently, even before Patty Jenkins signed on, there was another female who was set to direct Wonder Woman, and she left because of creative differences. So I'm trying to figure out what is WB trying to do with these movies that is making these directors be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do with that. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk away now before things get bad. There's got to be something that WB is doing that we don't know about, obviously. That is just.
I think a big.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Kind of I think a big part to take into account for this situation specifically, just with like Matt Reeves, is that he wasn't confirmed or signed on yet. They were in talks and in negotiations, so it's a little bit more reasonable, I guess, for things to break down at this stage. And I think that it would be worse if they had signed on and like agreed to something, and then like 2 months from now he like leaves and steps down or something. That would be really, really worrying and troubling, I think. But
actually, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that. Is like, what if somebody like were to sign on and then leave? Aren't there contracts for things like that? Like, hey, you signed on to direct this movie, so you are directing it. They'd be like, no, bump that, and they just leave. I'm guessing, obviously, there's no problem with it because, like 4 directors now have done it with WB? So, I don't know. It's just really annoying. David, what are your thoughts, man? The large sigh. He's about to go in, folks.
You know what? You know what? I have run out of energy to react to things like this anymore. I have no energy to do it anymore. Okay, so look. Well, early in the week, a few names started getting thrown around. Like Matt Reeves was one of those names to possibly come on and direct the Batman. Okay, and I really like Matt Reeves because I think he's great at coming in and finishing projects that have already been started. But then there was all these rumors that they were just starting from scratch and they were doing a new script, which I was kind of fine with. I could kind of see a side of it where Warner Brothers was thinking, right, we've got a new director. Let's just get a brand new script to fit that director and let's have some of his input into it. So the fact that they potentially started all over again didn't really bother me as much as some other people. I think it is also good to say, like you said, that Reeves was never confirmed to direct. He was never officially signed on. He was never confirmed. He was like in talks.
Right.
And yeah, like, you know, now the negotiations have broken down is what the report is. Why have they broken down? That's the kind of interesting question. Was it that Warner Brothers was going to have too much control and Matt Reeves wasn't going to get enough say in the project? I don't know. Obviously Ben Affleck would have been my top choice to direct this, because of things he's done with like Argo and The Town, and just the fact that, you know, Ben Affleck just like craps out unbelievable movies. So Ben Affleck would have been my top. Matt Reeves would have been next out of all the names that were sort of being tossed around and rumored. But I mean, like you said, and like we said before, it's not been confirmed, so this isn't as bad as like Rick Famuyiwa, who was signed on to direct The Flash, who now isn't, or you know, the other 4 directors that were also signed on to direct The Flash. So this isn't as bad as that, but I mean, we'll probably just get a new name in the coming weeks, and I hope that it works out. And like we said last week, the Batman movie was like the last hope for a lot of people because of all the uncertainty and all the sort of mixed results that Warner Brothers and DC have been putting out with their movies. So the Batman was the last hope, and it's just slowly becoming, you know, more and more uncertain about what's going to happen, who's going to be in it. So I don't know. We'll just wait and see who's, you know, what other name Warner Brothers pick out of a hat. But I think they need to get someone who the general movie-going audience who isn't as invested in like names. Like, you know, if people say Matt Reeves, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, Matt Reeves. Like, you know, a lot of people knew who Ben Affleck was. Obviously, everyone, you know, if you say Ben Affleck's directing this, it was like, oh, great. But if you say someone like Matt Reeves or Rick Famuyiwa, like the sort of general movie-going audience who isn't as, you know, in depth into these directors' names and who they all are, you know, they might hear a name like Matt Reeves and be like, oh, like I've maybe heard of him, but I don't really know what he's done or anything like that. So I just hope they get a good name, a good director that can do Batman well, that can instill some hope back into me. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Okay. Ander? Everybody starts with sides.
Because this isn't what I wanted to talk about, you know.
Yeah, I know.
We're having some, you know, some positive things coming out with DC, and then they drop this like 5 minutes before we start recording, and so now I gotta change my tune here. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Alex said about, and David too. Is at least it's not a Rick Famuyiwa situation, but it's not good news. It's still just as troubling because Matt Reeves was in serious negotiations and contract negotiations for this movie, and then he drops out. So, I mean, this is already setting the narrative for this movie that, I mean, this is now another director, another DC director who has left a project or a potential project that he was going to be on, and it's worrying. I mean, there's no way you can't say this isn't a mess right now, because it is.
Yep.
And I don't know. DC needs to, and Warner Brothers, they really need to take their time. I don't think it helps that, every blogger and journalist, hounds Affleck and Warner Brothers for updates on the Batman either, but still, it's not good. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I forget which one of you said it, but they need to say something and be like, oh, hey, this is what's happening. Of course, they're not going to, because they're a studio and they have to keep things hush hush. And I can somewhat understand that you don't want everyone, peeking into your pot, trying to figure out what you're doing. But I mean, something's got to give, man. This is just, and I totally understand, saying, he was never actually 100% set to direct the movie. I fully understand that, but based on what Warner Brothers had said about the discussions and just the whole overall feel of it, it made sense, and it made it seem like he was actually going to take the project. And then just out of nowhere, it's just like, oh, well, not really out of nowhere. Well, for us, it was out of nowhere. He just goes, yeah, no, I'm stepping down. I'm not going to do it. So it's just annoying. I'm tired of all of the bull crap, dude.
It's letting the journalists set the narrative.
It's just adding fuel to the fire. It's not like WB didn't already have enough problems. Now they have to worry about another director leaving this movie. That's so far 2 DC movies and 5 directors now, because you had Seth Grahame-Smith with The Flash. You had not the Russo brothers, but Chris Miller and Phil Lord or something like that, or I'm missing the last names. Then you had Rick Famuyiwa. You had Ben Affleck for the Batman.
Michelle.
And now you have Matt Reeves. That's 5 directors, 2 freaking movies. Really? 2? Something's going on. They need to fix it. They need to, because I take this stuff very seriously. Like I said, I'm a huge DC fan. I don't take it personally, but it's very near and dear to my heart. So they need to hurry up and fix something up, because this is
frustrating.
This is ridiculous. Do you guys have anything else to add to this?
Don't think so. I think you covered it.
Okay. Jesus Christ. This is not how I want to start the podcast. But anyway, we are going to go ahead and move on to some more director WB stuff that, now I think about it, might just fall apart like freaking Batman is already. But this one's actually a little bit more interesting, because I know a lot of people feel very strongly about this director. I think this happened 2 days ago, right? That we're about to talk about? 2 days ago?
Yeah.
2 days ago, out of the freaking blue, we find out that WB has approached Mel freaking Gibson to direct Suicide Squad 2. Now, say what you want about Mel Gibson, the dude's a nut. I think we can all agree on that. The dude's a basket case, but he's a really good filmmaker. I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, but I heard it's really good. He directed Passion of the Christ, which I really enjoyed. He directed Signs, which is another movie that I liked. Actually, no, he did not direct. Did he direct Signs? No, he was just in it. I don't know. Anyway, no, he's a good filmmaker. And honestly, I think his kind of craziness might work for the Squad. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it, but I think he might be good. But with WB, you never know if someone's actually going to end up doing the movie, because, previous topics. But David, let's start with you. What do you think about the possibility of Mel Gibson directing Suicide Squad 2?
I think this is a really smart move by Warner Brothers, because after the hot mess of crap that was Suicide Squad, what is a good way to get people interested in seeing the sequel? You get Mel Gibson. Obviously, we will all see it, because comic book movies are our weakness, but for like the 90% of the movie-going audience who don't necessarily read the comics and therefore maybe aren't as faithful to these movies and these properties, they might see, something for Suicide Squad 2, and, they'd be like, oh, Suicide Squad kind of sucked. I mean, I don't think I've talked to one person, I've maybe talked to one person. I don't think I've talked to a lot of people who liked it. I think, there's been a couple of people who have been like, you know what,
I mean, I can't say that I think that it's a good movie from a objective standpoint, but I do enjoy most of it. It's a very weird movie for me because I really enjoy a lot of the scenes and the character moments, but from a story and pacing and a bunch of other things, it's not a good movie. I don't know. I'm torn on it.
Yeah,
but
so I just think that, like, there are a lot of people, a lot of people did not like this film. So I think if the 90% of the movie-going audience who doesn't read comic books sees something for Suicide Squad 2, they might be like, oh, the first one kind of sucked, might not go see that. But if they see that Mel Gibson has directed this, then that might, push up the probability a bit. But I think if you're going to get Mel Gibson, give him control. Leave him alone.
Oh yeah. If they get Mel Gibson, you don't have to worry about WB getting to the editing room. He will scream their heads off. The man's crazy as hell. They better not mess with him. I don't think they would.
Yeah. Was it Justin Kroll from Variety tweeted that apparently if Mel Gibson wants the job, it's his. If Mel wants, to direct Suicide Squad 2, he's got it. I think it would be good for Suicide Squad 2, and I think it would be good for Warner Brothers for them to realize what happens when they let their directors have all the control and don't interfere. If they leave him alone and it ends up being a huge hit, then I think it could be very eye-opening for Warner Brothers. I don't think Gibson is going to sign on I don't think he's going to sign a damn thing until Warner Brothers basically promises that they won't interfere. Also, having said all that, I will say I don't think we've seen a bad trailer for a DC film. I don't. I think there have been some elements in some of the trailers that weren't as good. Like, when one of the Batman v Superman trailers came out, they showed Batman and Superman teaming up to fight Doomsday, which I think was just such a ridiculous decision. But I think the trailers in general, overall, I think Warner Brothers has put out some amazing trailers. So even though the trailer for Suicide Squad 2 could be good, doesn't mean the movie is going to do well. Because I actually like the trailers to Suicide Squad, but the movie sucked. So I won't be surprised if Suicide Squad 2 puts out a good trailer and then the movie ends up sucking. I won't be surprised if that happens for any of the upcoming DC films. So I'm all for Mel Gibson. Just leave him alone.
Although I don't agree with one of the things that you said. That you said that if people see that Mel Gibson is directing it, they'll automatically want to see the movie. I don't exactly think that Mel Gibson is that kind of director who puts butts in seats because of his name. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't think that's the case. Because if I saw a movie and I was just like, oh, that doesn't look interesting, and I saw director Mel Gibson, I would still think the same thing. I wouldn't think any more or less of the movie if I saw his name attached to it. So, then again, that's just me. That's just kind of my viewing on it.
I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to guarantee that twice as many people are going to see the film, but I think the name Mel Gibson sort of calls back to a lot of movies that people, these sort of big kind of action big movies, and I think people will sort of think of what movies are synonymous with him, and the fact that they've liked other ones and the fact that they've kind of been sort of just really big movies, I think could maybe persuade a good amount of people. Like I said, not everyone, but I think it could maybe persuade a good amount of people. But I mean, I could be wrong, who knows.
Okay. Andrew, what do you think of Mel Gibson?
I really enjoy his movies. Braveheart especially is one of my favorite movies.
That's what I forgot to mention.
Yeah, he's a very divisive choice, especially for his antics off camera. And I can see that being kind of, that could sort of, I don't know if it would really hurt DC, but it might. I don't know. He's such a big name because of his movies. I know it would make me interested in the movie. I'm not going to go into talking about Suicide Squad. I think you guys know how much my thoughts on that movie. But,
the disdain is real.
But I would totally be open to having Mel Gibson or a director of his caliber stepping in. If they couldn't get Mel Gibson, someone just as big as him to step in to do Suicide Squad.
Yeah, because it's clear that David Ayer's not going to do it. They don't want him to do it, and I think he's actually doing Gotham City Sirens, so you can go ahead and throw that out the window. Alex.
Yeah, I think y'all basically hit everything. I don't really I don't have anything too against Mel coming on to direct Suicide Squad 2. Like you said earlier, Josh, I think that his kind of crazy might work with the squad. And then also, I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge yet, but I've heard amazing things about it. And if he can give us a really good, what Suicide Squad 1 should have been, a Black Ops kind of stealth mission with the team, more grounded, not as crazy fantasy, then I think that would be really awesome and could be exactly what the Suicide Squad sequel needs to be. And so, yeah, I'm for it, I guess, if he does get signed off.
From what I heard, he's more intrigued by the cast than he is, like, the story. So, I guess take with that what you will. Actually, one thing I want to add before we go ahead and move on to the next topic. There are actually, aside from Mel Gibson, there are 3 other directors that WB is looking at, and one of them is Jonathan Levine. He directed Warm Bodies. Daniel Espinosa directed Safe House, and then Ruben Fleischer.
Yep, you nailed it.
I butchered that to freaking high hell. But he directed Zombieland, and at least for me, out of those 3 directors, if Mel Gibson decides to, skip Suicide Squad 2, I think he might be a good choice, especially since Zombieland does kind of have like that feel that a Suicide Squad movie should have, So maybe give Ruben a call,
What is it with Ruben Fleischer and movies with the name Squad in them? Because he also did Gangster Squad.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't like that movie. That's the movie with like Josh Brolin, Emma Stone, and Ryan Gosling, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that movie. Do you guys have any? Cause I put it on the short list, not the short list, but I put it on the show notes. Are any of these directors eye popping to you guys?
I mean, if you want to look at Ruben Fleischer in terms of like he did Zombieland, it's like, like I said, like it's kind of a subjective thing. Do you want the same guy that directed Zombieland to direct Suicide Squad 2? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I mean, he's a good director, I think. I think Ruben Fleischer would have been really good for Deadpool. But the Suicide Squad 2, sure, why not?
Guys, you have anything? Andrew, Alex?
Is Safe House that one movie with Ryan
Yep.
Reynolds and some? Okay, yeah, I think that he could possibly be whatever his name was could possibly be a good choice. I remember enjoying that movie when it came out. I haven't watched it in forever, but if Mel Gibson, declines it, and those are the other directors they're looking at, that's my second choice of those, I suppose. But
Mander?
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I remember enjoying that movie too. That's with Denzel, right? And
Yeah.
yes.
For some
I just-
reason, when I think of Safe House, I just think of the poster for The Equalizer. I don't know why. It's just where my mind goes.
Yes.
But yeah.
yeah, he could probably be a good
Okay.
choice.
Yep, Mel Gibson, Suicide Squad 2, Matt Reeves, no longer directing Batman. It's been a very interesting podcast so far. Let's keep going. So, moving on to some Marvel news. I think everyone kind of knows that Domino is going to be in Deadpool 2, and there was a short list for the character that came out a few months ago, or like 6 months ago. I'm not really entirely sure on like the timeline of it, but apparently there's a new one out, and there's I think the only actresses on here that people know of are Sienna Miller and Kerry Washington. And Kerry Washington is actually the front runner, but there's another lady on here named Jesus. I mentioned this before we started the podcast. I'm going to butcher this name, not on purpose, but because I don't know how to say it. But her name is Gugu Oh, Jesus. Gugu. Oh, we're going to call her Gugu Raw because that's her last name. We're going to call her Gugu Raw. I don't know her middle name. But
Gugu
yeah,
Raw.
Sienna Miller, Kerry Washington, and that lady that I just butchered her name. I think everyone's kind of like together with saying Kerry Washington. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Sienna Miller obviously would be great, I think. I think Domino overall is a cool character to add. If you don't know who she is, she like manipulates probability, right? And like luck. So like I can just imagine that being really funny. Like if Deadpool tries to shoot her like 5 or 6 times, he would just miss, and I can just imagine him getting really frustrated, which I think would be kind of funny to see. So I'm all for adding Domino to the mix. I think it was late October. there was another shortlist that involved like Lizzie Kaplan and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and I would have loved to see Lizzie Kaplan in this from the original list that came out a few months ago, because they were all being screen tested apparently. So I would have picked Lizzie Kaplan, but now we've got names like Sienna Miller, who I think would be great. A lot of names being thrown around, but I guess this is the kind of nature of these situations, so we will wait to hear who ends up being cast.
Andrew, Alex, I'm guessing you have nothing else to add, considering you basically just said, yeah, sure, I'd go with Kerry Washington. Am I right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know too much about the character, but I'm sorry, Andrew. I don't know too much about the character, so I'm all for seeing her on screen.
Andrew, you better say something?
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say, I hear good things about Kerry Washington. I'm not too familiar with her work, but I know people who watch Scandal, I think it is.
Yeah.
Say she does a really good job in that show.
Yeah.
I really haven't been paying attention too much to the short list, or to the one that David mentioned, but I mean, any of those choices I'm fine with.
Well, it doesn't really matter if you didn't pay attention to the last one, because apparently those actresses are done.
Yeah, they're
not on the new short list.
So.
They're not on the new one, so.
Yeah, oh well. I mean, although those were some pretty good actresses, Lizzie Kaplan, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think Rosario Dawson was on that too, but she plays Night Nurse in the Netflix series, so that wouldn't work out.
She would be great.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn it. Anyway, let's move on to more depressing news. What is up with today? Oh my god. So I think as everyone kind of knew that Logan was rumored or semi-confirmed to be Wolverine. Oh wow, Hugh Jackman's last hurrah as Wolverine. And there was kind of like people holding out hope that maybe he would reprise his role in like Deadpool 2 or something like that. Nope, Hugh Jackman has completely ruled out ever returning to the character as well of Wolverine. So, break out the trumpets. Logan in 2 weeks will be his last appearance as the character, and I'm sad. I'm even more sad because I kind of wanted him to appear in Deadpool 2. It still might happen, you never know, but I mean, it's not really looking too hot. But I guess we can kind of talk about who we would want to see take over the mantle, because obviously we know that they're going to have to recast. And that's going to be a weird day, too. He's been playing the character for, 17 years, right?
Yep.
He's been playing the character for 17 years, and then trying to see somebody else as him is going to be strange. Well, not really like RDJ, but just imagine if they cast somebody new as Iron Man today. People are like, wait, what? Like, no, RDJ is Iron Man, so it's going to be kind of weird. But are there any names that come to mind? I know I didn't. I probably should have said something before we recorded that I was gonna do this, but I kind of just came off the top of my head. But are there any actors that you could think of, not named Tom Hardy, that would be a good replacement for Hugh Jackman?
I vote not recasting and just going with X-23 if they're gonna have Wolverine in further movies. They should not touch that casting for at least 20 years. Honestly, at least as long as he was Wolverine, they can't cast someone else as him. It's too recent for everyone. It'll be too different to try to go see that. And so I think the smart thing would just be to carry on, and then you can develop this new character who is extremely young and being introduced in this one and has a connection, to Logan. So
the thing is, I didn't even think about that. That's actually a really good idea. Andrew, I feel like you're gonna echo his answer, correct?
I'm gonna say X-23 because just exactly what Alex said. It's gonna be too recent. Everyone loves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and just recasting him this soon would I think that would drive a lot of people away. And X-23 is gonna be a huge character once Logan releases. So why not build her up and give her a couple movies, give her some solo movies. I heard that there were some reports that the director, Mangold, he even wants to do a spin-off movie with X-23. So I say, give it to her. Give her the attention.
Now that you said that, I actually want that to happen. Because it'd be like I mentioned before we even started really talking about this, recasting Hugh Jackman is just... I don't like the idea. The idea seems weird to me, considering he's played the character for so long. I've essentially grown up with that character. It's really weird. David, do you have anything else to add? Do you any things that haven't been said?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to kind of echo what everyone else has said. I think the best thing to do is to stick with X-23. The embargo lifted for Logan, I think just like a couple of hours ago, and everyone is saying that this is the Logan that we have been waiting for. This is the version of Wolverine that we have been waiting for. We've had some great, performances of Wolverine. But I think this is the one that everyone's been waiting for. That's what all the reviews have said. I think, and everyone has been kind of raving about, was it Daphne, what's her second name, who plays X-23? Daphne
Keen.
Daphne Keane. Yeah, so everyone's been raving about her as X-23. From the trailers, she looks great. I think that the best thing to do is, just to continue with her. I would love to see an X-23 Deadpool movie. I think that would be really interesting.
Wild.
So I think
X-Force.
Yeah, so I think, exactly. So I think you continue with X-23. You let the version of Logan that we have and that we have known for 17 years. You let that kind of you let people have that for a good number of years from now on, and then you eventually reboot X-Men, because there's been a lot of uncertainty what's happening with X-Men and the universe. Like, are they rebooting? Are they not rebooting the whole universe? But apparently Sophie Turner's now said that they are filming another X-Men film this year or next year or something.
It was this year. I think she said like a few months.
Yes, yeah. So there's a new X-Men film coming, probably the end of next year or the year after. So it's obviously kind of the same universe. So I don't think you should cast a new Wolverine at all. I think you should carry on the current X-Men universe with X-23 and Deadpool. I wasn't a huge fan of the new additions to the younger cast in X-Men Apocalypse. Like, I didn't think any of them were bad, but I just didn't really care for their characters. So I would say the best thing to do is just continue with them, maybe for like another 1 or 2 films if you have to. X-23 and Deadpool crossover movie, and then somehow leave X-Men for a while, and then reboot it in like 10-15 years with a new Wolverine, a new everyone. I think that's what I would really like to see.
Interesting. All right, so we're moving on to the final topic for today, and it revolves around some more Marvel characters. Apparently, Marvel's discount Aquaman might make an appearance in Inhumans. So there's that.
God, Josh.
Sorry, I know nothing about the character, and I don't feel bad about it. I mean, when they posted the rumor, they posted a picture of Aquaman directly next to him. So I'm just like, they're like, oh yeah, it was like Aquaman and the Submariner might be going at it in a few, I forget what he said, like a few months or a few years, something like that. They're like, stay tuned. It's honestly, I don't even know why this is even a rumor. It's some random ass Twitter account that posted a picture of 2 aquatic superheroes and saying, oh yeah, one of them might appear in Inhumans, which is, I think, is filming now. So I don't know. I don't really care about Namor. I am interested in Inhumans. Jesus, try to say that 5 times fast. But in regards to Namor, I couldn't care less. I'm so serious. I've seen the character. He's basically Aquaman, but Aquaman's cooler. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm a little confused why Namor would be in it, because he's a mutant. So I guess they're trying to, I don't know, is Marvel going to try making him an Inhuman now or something? I don't get that.
Well, I mean, they don't have access to mutants, so I mean, I guess that makes sense. But then again, is the Inhuman show tied into the MCU? Do we know? I guess so, right?
They mentioned
I think as much as the other TV shows are tied into the MCU, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, so not at all.
Well, I think it's more like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of universe, more than like the Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you, Namor, I don't hate him, but it's hard to like him because he's such an asshole.
No, he is. Andrew's right. He's terrible.
He is. He's just he's a condescending jerk in the comics, and so it's really hard to like him.
Submariner. What a trash name. I'm so sorry.
I mean, I'm open to seeing him because I'm interested to see what they'll do with him. But I'm more interested in seeing the royal family for the Inhumans than him. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting decision, but I'm kind of confused why. But I don't know. We'll see.
Alex?
Yeah, I don't think that we need Namor in the Inhumans show. I don't think there's any need for that. And I didn't even know that Marvel had the rights to Namor, but yeah.
I think, yeah, they mentioned it last year. I think last fall. They were just like,
yeah.
yeah, we got him. Because they got him from Universal, right?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they decide to put him in there, cool, I guess. I don't know, really. But that just adds more to their budget, because if they want to do his powers or anything, then there's water, and so that's another thing. I don't know. He doesn't need to be in the Inhuman show.
The boy can walk around with a bucket of water and just start flinging it on people. I watched that. David?
You know, I am so glad that we ended with a topic that I know nothing about.
Hey!
So
That was purposeful.
Hey, yeah. So I mean, like in Humans, I mean, I'm not really rushed to see it. I'm not really enthusiastic about it. I mean, I don't really watch Agents of Shield. I love the Netflix stuff, but in Humans, if it was a movie, I'd obviously go and see it, because I just think the movies, obviously they've got such a high standard. Don't really, I'm not hugely looking forward to Inhumans. I'm just not hyped about it. Namor, I don't really know anything about the character. That's me.
On the topic of Inhumans, what's really interesting is that they've begun filming, but we don't know a single person who's a part of that cast. Not a one.
Yeah.
It's really strange. Usually you'll hear, oh, this person is rumored. There's not even any rumors. Not even people rumored to be a part of the cast. It's just nothing. Just silence. I've never seen this before. And it's kind of cool, but also really annoying at the same time when you run a news site and you want to report on what's happening, but when nothing is happening, you're just like, wait, what? It was just very strange, very strange. But I am interested in the show. Although, like I said, I don't care less. I can care less about Namor, the Submariner. Who thinks of this stuff? But that is it for today. Pretty quick one. I mean, we kind of really blazed through those. I'm happy. The beginning was kind of rough. Like we actually recorded this like 4 times over, because we kept on I kept on messing up, and then Alex's mic wasn't freaking picking up. So very interesting indeed. But thank you all for joining us today. It was been a blast. We laughed, we got depressed, and then we roasted a really trash character. Alex, where can people find you at on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at APBatman with 2 T's, and you can also find me and listen to me on the weekly comic roundup that I do with Ander and Shocked. We try to get it out every week, but yeah, check that out as well.
Do it. Oh crap! I just thought of something I need to do. Ander.
I'm on Twitter at AnderWriter. Come on by, talk comics, talk Aquaman, movies, whatever you want. I'm up for it.
David.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DavidHutchison_ and Warner Brothers. Get your shit together. Come on.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, get on that.
You can find me on Twitter at Dark Knight of Ren, 1K of the Dark in the Night. I'm currently trying to change my app, but Twitter is being a turd about it. You can also find David. So a little backstory actually before we end this. So the rest of the team, I don't feel like doing it, but the rest of the team wants to add TDN to the rest of their usernames on Twitter, and essentially everybody can get theirs except for David. Some random behind guy has it. And David's been super salty about it, tweeting at the guy give me your app please, and he just won't do it. So that's kind of interesting.
I've been very polite.
Yeah,
I've been very
just
polite.
hit him with that.
Anyone listening, hit him with what?
Oh, I was gonna say hit him with that Negan. Give me your shit. Give it to me now.
I mean, if anyone's listening to this and they wanna, fight the good fight, yeah, just at David TDN, just work some magic, and hopefully I'll get that at one day.
Yep. But yeah, you can also find me on DCU News. I'm actually gonna live stream tonight because actually I don't even know why I'm saying this because this isn't going up until Saturday. But anyway, yeah, I live stream on DCU News on Instagram and we talk about stuff. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for all the support you've shown the site, all of our social media. It's been really awesome, and look forward to more episodes from us and the weekly comic roundup coming up soon. Thank you for joining us again. See ya. Peace.